Recently, I was trawling through the PlayStation Network's January sale, and I came across The Witcher 3 Tales, Thronebreaker, that was ridiculously cheap, like £8. And I remember seeing it when it first came out. Jesse Cox did a playthrough of the first few areas of the game, and I'm not sold on card games. I never have been. I played Gwent in The Witcher 3. I played Hearthstone for a little while. And also, as any great Final Fantasy fan would have, I played Tetramaster in Final Fantasy 8, 9, and 14. But they've never entirely grabbed me. However, I remember this game looking quite interesting, having a great story, great environment. So I thought, for £8, what have I got to lose? I'm going to get at least £8 worth of value out of it. And the bottom line is, I did, far more so. I haven't finished the game yet. I've just moved into the third area, but it is incredibly compelling. It is beautifully designed. It has, as you'd expect from a Witcher game, fantastic voice acting, brilliant writing, lots of lore and backstory, and three-dimensional characters, consequences, and there are lots of consequences in this game, some of which bite you on the backside early on, some of which I think they're saving up for the multiple endings that this game has. And it follows Queen Meve of Lyria and Rivia, who is trying to battle an insurrection, an invasion by the Nilfgaardian army. And it's a tale of betrayal, and it's a tale of loyalty, and it's a tale of war, and the consequences of war and the impact that has on common folk, as well as ordinary people, as well as soldiers, and as well as kings and queens. And it's very compelling and beautifully told in these nicely animated, minimally animated cut sequences. Basically, it's text with lip movements, but the voice acting is so good, the character design is so good, that actually, despite the fact that it's not a full FMV like you'd get in Final Fantasy or something like that, it is incredibly compelling and draws you in. And the world itself is an absolute joy to explore. It's a little bit too much wandering around the map, picking up and collecting gold and woods, which are the main materials for upgrading your camp and also recruiting and creating new characters. But it is not overwhelming. The worlds themselves are fairly compact. There is a logical path through them. There is activities that you can do on the sides, which are going to get you more gold or might get you a rare card to use in your deck. And as much as this is a card-based battle game, actually, there's not an awful lot of battling. It's not random encounters, it is scripted elements, and you might have 10, 15 battles that you will have throughout an area. And it is the battles, obviously, that the game is designed around. And there are generally three types of card battle. There is your standard one, which is played over 3 rounds, and those 3 rounds will be the best of 3. First to 2 rounds wins. And generally the idea is to get more points on the board than your opponent, and then you win the round, move on to the next round. So that's your standard round, and I'll come back to a minor problem with those later on. Then there are standard battles, but that are time specific. So essentially you have 1 round and you have to blast your way through the objective in a single round. So it's kind of winner takes all situation. And you also have the puzzle battles, which are, I must say, awesome. That is the bit that is really good. So with a puzzle battle, you will get a specific objective. It will be 1 round, and you'll have a limited number of cards. And the puzzle is to figure out how to use those limited number of cards to achieve the objective. And I must say, this is where the real joy of this game comes from me, because they are just, some are very obvious and easy to do, but some of them are quite obscure, which require quite a lot of juggling of the abilities on the cards, and you know, the situation and the environment. It's great. And there was one quite recently that I got very, very close. The puzzles, the best puzzles in the world, are the ones that get you to the point where you're about to throw your controller right against the wall, and then suddenly bing, and you go, and it is just awesome. I love that kind of stuff, you know, and it makes you feel clever. And the game does make you feel clever in these puzzle sections. It's absolutely wonderful. There's a nice variety of cards, but the deck is not overwhelming. You know, when you play Hearthstone, for instance, and I played for a little while, there are so many cards. You can have multiple decks, and I appreciate that is part of the World of Warcraft kind of ethos, but also it's monetization, because you want people to buy the packs of cards. Whereas this is a standalone title that you pay for once and you play through. So the deck, although it's not extensive, is varied enough for you to be able to adopt different tactics, be able to switch cards in and out as they come in. And as other cards get upgraded, they may supersede other ones. So you've got a really nice variety and a lot of tactical options. And I do like tactical games. I do like games that make my brain work rather than just my thumbs. So the battles here are absolutely phenomenal, and the cards have personality. And you know, when you see particular ones come up, you go, yes. I'll come back to one of my reservations in this later on. Anyway, the story is fantastic. No spoilers here, but it is a story of betrayal. It's a story of war, and it's a story of the impact that that has on everyone. I mean, you are often, you know, dealing with burned out villages. In fact, there's an entire section that you walk through, and the entire map is on fire as a Nilfgaardian army is basically burning everything in their path. And in the wake of this, there are bodies strewn everywhere. There are heartbroken villagers who just need food and shelter. And you do have some choices. You'll villages, and they will say, you know, we need some money. And then some of your characters will go, absolutely, you need to support these people. Other characters will go, well, an army marches on its stomach. Can you afford to give these things away? You'll hit situations. So as you're going around the map, you'll see collectibles that you can pick up. You'll see fights that you can do. You'll see puzzle fights that you can do, a little jigsaw puzzle piece on the map. But also just little question marks, which might lead to a fight, but also sometimes lead to a choice. So one minor spoiler here. In the very early stages of the game, so this is right in the first area, you have an option to save an elf who is suspected of being a Nilfgaardian spy and is being beaten up by a village that has been burned and pillaged by the Nilfgaardian army. There's lots of anger, and you know, the elf is protesting his innocence and going, please, please don't help me. And you have a choice. You can let the villagers finish the job, or you can tell the villagers to leave the elf alone. And I chose them to leave the elf alone, and I had an option. I either let him go with the great chance that the villagers will just track him down and murder him anyway, or to join my ranks. He joined my ranks. I went, yeah, come on, you come on, I need some soldiers. And then later on, a load of my soldiers dropped dead from poisoning. And later on, it was discovered that the poisoner was the elf who hated humans to the point where he just poisoned everyone. He said, you know, and no remorse. And, you know, I had a choice as to whether to let him go or whether to, you know, hang him. And some of the options you get are quite brutal. Do you execute people? Do you let them go? And those will have consequences. Executing them might actually raise the morale of your troops, particularly if they've done anything treacherous, and letting them go will reduce the morale of your troops. Certain choices might mean that some of the characters you've come along the way could actually leave your service because they don't like the direction that you are taking. So there are some meaningful things that you have to do within the storyline that do make a difference. And I'm really interested to find out, when I do actually get to the end, whether I get one of the good endings, you know, to see whether my choices have made a significant difference to the end of the game. I mean, in The Witcher, there were 3 main endings, but in the epilogue, others of your choices were highlighted in text and images that said, well, if you did this, so this happened, you did that, so this happened. So, and I found that quite fascinating. So I'm really looking forward to that. So this game is incredibly engrossing. The battle system is simple, it's effective. And I would, you know, for £8, even for like 15 quid, I think this is an excellent buy. So if you're watching this before the 20th of January, when the January sale ends, 2021, we're talking here, pick it up because it's really good. However, couple of reservations. First and foremost, there is a lot of busy work on the map, and it's not particularly difficult to discover this stuff. You know, one of the earliest upgrades you can get in your camp is to pay 50 gold on the map to get your scouts to uncover in the area all the collectibles that you can pick up. So in terms of having enough money to upgrade your camp, to recruit new soldiers, you're very rarely short, to be honest with you. So it's a little simpler in that case, but there is no grinding in this game. It's not a typical RPG where you can go and you can grind for money and XP. You know, it is limited. Once you've picked everything up and once you've done all the battles, that's it. You've exhausted it. So at the same time, it's fairly finely balanced in as much as that, provided you explore the map, you should always have enough money to progress. But if you didn't explore the entirety of the map, you would probably still be able to move forward. Similarly, if you don't choose to do all of the side quests, it's not necessarily going to put you in a disadvantage in battle, because you get a good core of cards anyway, but you might miss out on some of the more hardcore cards and abilities that are available out there. So exploration is encouraged, but it's not necessary. But it is a little bit busy work. It's a case of, oh, I've got to walk over here now to do that. I'll go walk over there. But it's a nice way of getting a flavour of the country. And you do come across some little nuggets as well whilst doing that. But a little bit busy, I thought, and a little bit simple, really. There was no complexity to that at all. There's no complexity to the upgrade system either. It is it's hierarchical. It's a tiered one. You've got a few decisions of where to go first. But ultimately, by the end of the game, you probably, if you've explored the entirety of all areas, will have upgraded everything. So that's a little bit. Within your camp itself, there are things to explore. This is a nice thing. Your command tent allows you to sort out all your cards and manage your deck. It's a little bit clunky. It's quite clear that this was originally designed for PC, because if you had a mouse and keyboard, it's easy, but on the D-pad and the analog sticks of a PlayStation 4 controller, it's a tiny bit clunky. There is the bar where you can talk to your characters and interact with your characters and find out about them and ask them questions. And, you know, that's quite nice because it fleshes out their characters, and they are quite characterful. They're good fun to interact with. Then you have the Queen's tent where all the correspondence are. So you can look at maps to find secret treasure. You can read reports. You can kind of get more lore, more background, more information about what is going on. And again, that is very streamlined. There is nothing overly complex in this game at all. The complexity comes from the tactical nature of the battles, and that's my kind of final reservation that I have found. The battles themselves, if we put aside the puzzle battles, which are just genius, the battles themselves are not hard. There's no difficulty setting. So, you know, you've got one setting you go in, and I have found that it is very easy for me to totally overpower the majority of the standard style battles, mainly because a number of the cards are ridiculously overpowered, and they are there on your table straight away. So you have your general cards that you play, which will have soldiers and medics and spies and all those kinds of things, the ones that you put on your deck to do damage or to strengthen the overall power that you're displaying. But there's also trinkets. Now, trinkets are things that Neve can equip. She can equip up to 4 trinkets, and those trinkets might be in your deck or they might be permanently on the field. And I'll give you an example of one. I won it through a side quest. It is a big lightning rod, which has got some fun flavor text on it. If you look at it, it says there's a lightning rod that does this, sometimes known as the Stick of Truth, which is the nice South Park game reference there. It goes on the battlefield, and it counts up. So after every round is finished, the counter goes up, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So after 7 rounds, let's say you've got 7 charges on this trinket. It can't be destroyed, or it's not easy to destroy. And when I click and activate it, basically for 7 charges, it does 3 damage randomly to 7 characters on the opposing team. And you can, so that is 21 points of damage that can be just boom, done, meted out, finished. And if you leave it right to the end of a battle, you might be losing significantly, and then you can just wipe out the enemy side, particularly in a kind of a single round battle. You can just wipe them out. And it's a little bit cheap. And there's another character, he's called Ake. He is a character that you can miss, so it's not guaranteed to pick him up. But if you pick him up, every single time an enemy damages one of your team, whether he is on the field of play, whether he's in your hand, or whether he's waiting in your deck, he increases his power by the amount of damage that has been done to your team. And he starts at 11 power. I think the highest power level you can get is 12. And power is how you measure the amount of cards, and their power level is added up to win. The one with the highest power wins. Well, I've had situations where, due to the amount of damage that's been meted out to my team, he ends up with 87 power. I think that's the highest I got him up to. So you just hold on to him in your hand, if he's in your hand, until the end of the game. And then end of the round, you just plop him in. That's 87 additional power, which again, even if you're massively behind, is suddenly going to win the match for you. So that is my minor criticism, though. The battles are absolutely phenomenal and fun, and you do need to put your brain in gear. And part of it is to do with the luck, because you don't always get a good selection of cards to start a battle with. But at the same time, I have found that they are rarely a challenge. You know, you need to think, you need to plan, you need to be sensible in the way you lay out your cards, but I generally win by quite a significant margin. And to be really compelling, what I would have wanted is to have, considering how well balanced the game can be, because, you know, there is no side quest, there's no grinding. It's not like a typical JRPG where you can grind for an hour and then every boss you can just walk over. So I think the balance in the battles could have been tweaked a little bit to make them more challenging, but also potentially some of the cards are ridiculously overpowered. And if you have them in your deck, you're almost guaranteed a victory. And on one card, and that shouldn't be the case. So I think that's a bit of a shame, but it's a minor quibble in what otherwise is a fantastically engaging battle system, particularly, as I say, those puzzle levels where you have a restricted number of cards to choose from, and you just have to plan. They can be absolutely brilliant. It also has quite a nice sense of humor, and the next clip, for those of you who are Monty Python fans, particularly those who've seen Monty Python and Monty Python and the Holy Grail, will definitely get this reference.
No matter what a hamster, and your father smelled of elderberries.
So overall, I think the Witcher Tales Thronebreaker is a phenomenal game, particularly as I've picked it up for £8, and I've definitely got more than £8 worth of value from it. Like I said, it's going to be reduced until the 20th of January, so, you know, do check it out, do see what you think. I have thoroughly enjoyed playing it. I'm looking forward to the ending. I don't feel tired of it yet. So despite my reservations about some of the, the leveling up system and the camp being a little bit too simple, and the battles being a little bit too simple and easy, not simple, but a little bit easy, I still can't stop playing it. I think about playing it all the time. So that is the measure of a good game, regardless of any minor flaws it has. Does it bring you in all the time? Does it make you go, right, what next? And that is absolute joy of the Witcher Tales Thronebreaker. Great characters, really compelling story, accessible but mentally challenging battle system, a fantastic world to inhabit, great characters and story to engage with. So if you've got £8 to spare before the 20th of January 2021, I would definitely suggest popping this in your shopping basket and giving it a go. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up or a share. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.